John never imagined a single sentence could change the course of his marriage, but that night, everything inside him reached a breaking point. The house had been unusually tense for weeks, short answers, forced smiles, evenings spent in separate rooms. Melissa had started dressing up more often, leaving the house at odd hours, claiming she was meeting friends or running errands, yet never giving specifics. John didn't want to be the controlling husband who questioned every little detail, but the uncertainty gnawed at him until it became a deep, festering insecurity. The night it all erupted. Melissa emerged from the bedroom looking stunning, hair perfectly styled, dress elegant, makeup immaculate. She looked like she was going to an upscale event, not a casual night out. John's heart tightened as he watched her slip on earrings he hadn't seen her wear in years. She was beautiful, too beautiful to leave the house without an explanation. "Where are you going?" he asked, trying to sound calm but failing miserably. "Out," she replied softly, grabbing her purse. No details, no reassurance, just a single cold word. Something inside John snapped. The fear of losing her, the exhaustion of feeling sidelined, the frustration of being kept in the dark, it all collided. He felt like he was standing at the edge of a cliff, and pride pushed him forward. He raised his voice, something he rarely did. "Melissa, if you walk out that door tonight, don't bother coming back." He regretted the words even before they left his mouth. They tasted bitter, like something poisonous he couldn't spit out fast enough. He expected her to stop, to look at him, to ask him what he meant. He expected tears or anger or at least a hesitation, but Melissa just froze for half a second, her hand still on the doorknob. She didn't shout back. She didn't beg him to understand. She didn't even turn around. Instead, she took a deep breath, slow, steady, almost relieved, and opened the door. The sound of the latch clicking felt like a final verdict. For a moment, John's chest tightened with panic. He wanted to call after her, take it back, chase her, anything to undo what he had just done. But pride, the worst enemy of love, held him in place. He stood there, fists clenched, watching the woman he loved walk out into the night without a backward glance. His mind flooded with questions. Was she already done with him? Was she meeting someone else? Had she been planning to leave anyway? The silence that followed her departure was louder than any argument they had ever had. The ticking of the clock felt like a countdown to disaster. The house suddenly felt too big, too empty, too cold. John told himself she would return, that she just needed space, that she would realize he only said it out of fear and frustration. But deep down, a terrifying possibility began to form. Maybe this time, she truly wasn't coming back. When the door closed behind Melissa, the house seemed to inhale and then refuse to exhale. John stood in the middle of the living room, staring at the empty space she had just walked through, as if expecting her shape to reappear in the doorway. But all he saw was silence, thick, suffocating silence that settled over everything like dust. He tried to distract himself at first. He turned on the TV, flipping through channels without watching anything. The images flashed by meaninglessly, his mind too loud to let anything in. After 5 minutes, he muted the screen. After 10, he switched it off. The house returned to its unsettling stillness. The clock on the wall ticked steadily, each passing second poking at his nerves. He glanced at his phone for the 10th time, still nothing. No message, no missed calls, not even a typing bubble. It was as if Melissa had disappeared into another world. Regret started creeping in like smoke under a door. Why did he say that? Why did he let pride speak louder than love? He replayed the moment again and again, the look on her face, the lack of hesitation, the quiet determination. She hadn't argued. She hadn't even tried to explain. She just left. And that scared him more than any fight ever could. By 10 p.m., worry overshadowed anger. By midnight, Worry turned into fear. By 1 a.m., fear started becoming pain. He sat on the edge of the couch, elbows on his knees, staring at the silent phone lying on the coffee table. His mind crafted scenarios, each one worse than the last. Was she hurt? Was she staying with someone else? Was she driving around crying? Was she gone for good? He opened their chat. The last message was from 3 days earlier. Be home late. Back then, he ignored it, assuming it was harmless. But tonight, it felt like a warning he failed to notice. He typed, "Are you okay? Please come home." I didn't mean it. His thumb hovered over the send button. Then he deleted the message. He didn't want to seem desperate. But the truth was, he was desperate. He grabbed his jacket and paced near the front door, debating whether to go out and look for her. But he didn't know where she had gone. She had been so secretive lately, new places, new habits, new circles of people he didn't know. He felt like a stranger in his own marriage. Eventually he returned to the couch, exhausted but unable to sleep. He kept checking the driveway through the window, hoping to see headlights. Each time he saw darkness, his stomach twisted tighter. At 3 a.m., he whispered into the quiet room, "Please come back. Just come home." Nothing answered. By dawn, John hadn't slept a second. His eyes were red, his heart heavy, and his mind numb. The longest night of his life ended in a way he didn't expect. Just as he gave up and lowered his head, he heard the front door open. The sound of the door creaking open sliced through the heavy dawn silence like a blade. John's head jerked up, his heartbeat slamming against his ribs. For a moment, he wondered if he had imagined it. Maybe exhaustion had finally driven him into hallucinations. But then he heard footsteps, slow, measured, familiar. Melissa stepped inside. She looked nothing like the woman who had stormed out the night before. Her dress was the same, but wrinkled now, her hair slightly messy, her eyes tired yet strangely determined. But what struck John the most wasn't her appearance, it was what she carried. In her left hand was a thick folder, stuffed with documents. Under her arm, a sleek black keycard. And in her right hand, a sealed white envelope. She didn't look like someone coming home from a party or a night of fun. She looked like someone returning from a battlefield. John shot to his feet. "Melissa, where were you?" "I waited all night." "I thought—" She held up a hand, stopping him with a calmness he'd never seen in her before. Her expression wasn't angry or sad. It was controlled, purposeful. She walked past him and placed the folder and envelope on the coffee table with careful precision, as if setting down something delicate. "We need to talk," she said quietly. Her voice wasn't cold. But it wasn't warm either. It was resolute. John's throat tightened. He braced himself for divorce papers. Why else would she come back carrying official-looking documents? Why else would she look so exhausted and detached? He swallowed hard. "Are those for us?" Melissa glanced at the folder. "Yes and no. They're for me. They're for my future. And for yours, depending on what you decide." Her words hit him like a punch. He felt the ground shift beneath him. He had expected a confrontation, maybe tears, but not this cryptic firmness. Not this tone that made him feel like she had already crossed a bridge he didn't even know existed. Still standing, he whispered, "I thought you were leaving me." She finally met his eyes. For the first time in weeks, she truly looked at him, not through him, not past him, but into him. Her voice softened slightly. "Last night? I almost did." The admission sent a cold wave through his chest. Melissa sat on the couch, motioning for him to sit too. When he did, she placed the black keycard in front of him. It looked expensive, official, out of place in their ordinary home. "You think I was going out to have fun," she said. "Or to see someone else. Or to escape you." She shook her head. but you have no idea what I've been doing. And you have no idea why." John swallowed hard, dread and curiosity battling inside him. She tapped the envelope. "Inside is the last piece of something I've been trying to finish. Something important. Something that can change everything." He stared at it as though it might explode. Then she leaned closer and said something he never expected. "John, you don't actually know the real reason I've been leaving the house." For a moment, John couldn't speak. His mind raced, trying to prepare itself for whatever truth Melissa had hidden from him. He had imagined many possibilities: another man, financial problems, a secret addiction, but nothing about her calm, almost businesslike demeanor fit those fears. She looked like someone who had been carrying something heavy for far too long, and was finally ready to put it down. Melissa took a slow breath and opened the folder on the table. Inside were neatly organized papers, legal forms, meeting notes, and documents stamped with official seals. Some bore the name of a law firm. Some were marked Estate Division. Others had her father's name, Richard Calloway, printed in bold at the top. John felt the air leave his lungs. Her father had passed away almost 18 months earlier. It had been a painful, complicated loss. Their relationship had been strained for years, and Melissa rarely spoke about him. The inheritance was something she had never wanted to discuss. He thought it was settled long ago. Clearly, it wasn't. Melissa looked at her hands as she spoke. "My dad didn't leave his estate to me outright. He set conditions, strict ones. And I didn't tell you because I didn't know how you would react." John blinked in confusion. "Conditions?" She nodded. Yes, he believed that a person who inherits something so large should prove they can manage it responsibly, and that they have a stable life. She gave a small, humorless smile. Especially a stable marriage. John felt a strange mix of shock and guilt wash over him. Melissa continued, "I had to meet with lawyers, financial advisors, investigators. I had to provide documentation. And I had to show proof that our marriage was healthy, supportive, and long-term." Her eyes glistened. "But we were already struggling. And every time I thought of telling you, we were arguing or distant or disconnected." Understanding began to dawn on John, heavy and painful. She hadn't been going out to avoid him. She had been going out to protect something, to secure something important, something that, apparently, included him. "I didn't want to pressure you," she said, voice trembling slightly. "I didn't want you to feel like you had to pretend to be happy so I could gain something. So I decided to do everything alone. I thought I could handle it." She rubbed her temples tiredly. "And maybe I was wrong." John stared at the documents. Suddenly, the night she left the house made sense. The secrecy, the exhaustion, the emotional distance. She wasn't cheating. She was overwhelmed, trying to fulfill requirements that demanded emotional stability while her marriage was slowly cracking. "And last night," Melissa whispered, "your ultimatum almost made me give it all up. I almost walked away from the estate entirely." She looked at him with quiet intensity. "Because the truth is, none of it matters if you and I can't trust each other." Her voice softened even more. "I wasn't sneaking around to betray you, John. I was trying to build a future for us. But I couldn't tell you until I knew whether you even wanted one." Those words hit him harder than anything else. He realized now that while he had been drowning in jealousy, Melissa had been drowning in pressure, trying to hold their marriage together and meet the demands of a father who had never made life easy for her. And he had almost ruined everything. John's world felt like it had tilted. Everything he thought he knew, every suspicion, every late-night fear, every bitter assumption crumbled under the weight of the truth. For a long moment, he couldn't speak. His throat felt tight, his chest heavier than before. Melissa watched him, her hands folded, her gaze steady but vulnerable. slowly. She reached for the sealed white envelope she had placed on the table earlier. "This," she said quietly, tapping it with her finger, "is the final requirement. The last step I needed to complete before the estate board reviews our case." Our case. The words echoed in John's mind. They were a painful reminder that his actions weren't just affecting him. They had consequences far beyond their arguments. He swallowed. "What do they need? What's in it?" "A declaration," she said, "signed by both of us. It states that we're committed to our marriage, that we're working together, that we share our future." John blinked in disbelief. "They want proof that we're united?" "Yes," she whispered. "But here's the part you need to understand." She took a deep breath, her voice trembling slightly. "Last night, after your ultimatum, I almost signed a different declaration, one that said I was walking away, not just from the inheritance, from everything." His stomach dropped. "Melissa," she held up a hand, stopping him not with anger, but with a calm sadness. "I didn't plan to leave forever, but I needed space, time. I needed to decide if I was staying because I loved you, or because I needed you to fulfill a requirement." Her eyes glistened. "I didn't want to fake our marriage for money. I couldn't do that to either of us." John felt shame burn his chest. He had accused her in his mind of betrayal while she had been battling an impossible decision. She continued, her voice fragile but honest. "I spent the night thinking, walking, sitting in my sister's car, crying. I thought about our history, our memories, our fights, and our love. And for a moment, I truly believed maybe you didn't want me anymore. Maybe the door I walked through was the last time I would step inside this home." John's heart cracked open. "I never wanted you to leave. I didn't mean that ultimatum. I was scared, angry, stupid." "I know," she said softly. "And I was scared too." She took his hand gently. "That's why I didn't sign anything. Not the statement for the board. Not the resignation. Nothing." Her voice steadied. "Because I realized something. I don't want an inheritance if it means losing my marriage. But I also don't want a marriage that only survives out of obligation." She placed the envelope between them. "You get to choose now," she said. "If you sign this, we'll present it together. The board will evaluate us and we might gain the estate. But if you refuse, I'll walk away from everything literally. No money, no property, and no resentment. I won't ask you for anything." Her eyes locked onto his. "This time, John, the ultimatum isn't mine. It's yours." The weight of her words settled over him like a storm got. The envelope between them sat like a silent judge, waiting for John to speak. He stared at it, then at Melissa, then back at the documents scattered across the table. His heartbeat was loud enough that he was sure she could hear it. For a moment, he felt paralyzed, caught between guilt, fear, and an overwhelming desire to undo the damage he had caused. Melissa didn't rush him. She sat still, her fingers gently intertwined, her posture steady but weary. She looked like someone who had fought a long, private war and was finally laying down her weapons. There was no anger in her face anymore, no bitterness, just exhaustion, and a quiet hope she was too afraid to voice. John leaned back, ran a hand across his face, and exhaled shakily. "I thought you were slipping away from me," he murmured. "I thought I was losing you to someone or something. I didn't understand." "You were never losing me to someone else," she whispered. "Just to everything I was trying to carry alone." Those words pierced him deeper than any accusation could have. He felt ashamed of how quickly he had assumed the worst, how easily he had let fear paint her in the darkest colors. She had been fighting for them, for their future, for a legacy she believed could help them, but he had been too blinded by insecurity to see it. Melissa slid the black keycard toward him. "This," she said gently, belongs to my father's ranch, a place I haven't visited since before he and I fell apart." John hesitated, picking it up carefully. It was heavier than he expected, cold and symbolic. He looked up, confused. "Why give this to me?" "Because the board wants to meet us there, today." She paused. "They want to evaluate whether we're truly a united couple, whether we can handle responsibility and stability together." "And if I don't go?" he asked, though the answer seemed painfully obvious. Her eyes softened with sadness, not anger. "Then I'll tell them I'm declining everything. The estate, the properties, the accounts, all of it. And I'll leave quietly. No drama. No revenge. Just a clean end." His chest tightened. "You'd give up everything for that?" "I'd give up everything," she said softly, "except my self-respect. And I won't stay in a marriage where I'm begging to be chosen." Her honesty shattered whatever remained of his pride. John stood slowly, feeling the weight of months of misunderstanding settle over him. He crossed the room and knelt in front of her, something he hadn't done since the early days of their relationship. Her breath caught as he took her hands. "I choose you," he said. "Not because of an inheritance, not because of pressure, but because I should have chosen you every day, and I didn't." Tears filled her eyes, but she didn't look away. He squeezed her hands tighter. "Let's go to the ranch. Together." Melissa let out a trembling breath, as if releasing the fear she'd been holding for months, and then she whispered the real shock, the one that cut straight through him. "I wasn't deciding between going out or staying in last night, John. I was deciding whether I still believed in us." He pulled her close, understanding finally how close they had come to losing everything. But this time, they walked out the door together,